All right, what is going on, everybody? Has been a little while since I posted a video, but I hope you guys have all been well. In this video, I'm going to be recapping our 2025 Christmas light season, what worked really well, what worked not so well, how we did overall, and kind of some of the lessons and takeaways that I am hoping to share with you guys to do better than me next season and hopefully crush it. And maybe you're just getting started with Christmas lights, or you're just kind of interested in the business model. But anyway, we went into the season. I went into the season with some pretty big goals. I wanted to do at least $500,000, which I think I went over in a video prior to us starting the season. We ended up at about $294,000 in installations. Let's see, it's our sticky note. This is going to be just super raw video. I'm not going to edit this or make any cuts or anything. Just for a little while. So we ended at right around 294,000, which I personally was very disappointed with. Mainly because I felt very limited by our market and our TAM, which I will get into in a little bit. But I feel as though we could have, we had the systems, we had the team, we had the infrastructure to genuinely do double what we did. And really, the only bottleneck that came up was just not enough lead flow. I just didn't know where else to put money. Our main acquisition channel was Facebook ads, and it is very much a part of it is definitely a skill diff. But we ran into some trouble scaling, and lead quality started to drop. And just not enough leads were coming through the door, essentially. We maxed out yard signs, we maxed out Google ads, we maxed out direct mail. There was diminishing returns on everything except even with our Facebook ads, which again a little bit of a skill lift there, but I did feel limited by our market a little bit, which is why we're opening another location down south next year. So we did 294,000. Like I said, I wanted to do at least $500,000. My base case at floor was 300, which we actually missed by a couple thousand, which by the end of the season I was like, I don't care anymore about the $6,000 that we're short. But that's where we ended up. All right, I'm gonna go through kind of what the operation looked like, what our marketing looked like I said, where I think we need to improve, and what we did really well. So I will start off with our team and org chart. So we obviously had me as the CEO, founder, operator, whatever, me at the top. We had an office manager that started at the beginning of October, which she actually didn't have too much to do. I actually probably could have brought her on a little bit later. She was kind of didn't really have much to do for a couple weeks, to be totally honest. But we had office manager. We ended up let's see if I could copy paste this into a separate thing so I can edit this. Let's see, copy, paste. Beautiful. Okay. So we ended up bringing on an office manager. We didn't have or need an SDR, because that's just essentially what our office manager and automations did. So that was just totally unnecessary. Can I not delete this, please? Edit. Maybe okay, we're gonna ignore that. But we got rid of, there we go. We didn't have that. I had a sales rep lined up, ready to go, and they ended up backing out last minute. And by the time they backed out, it was mid-October, and I really didn't have time or the need to bring on a sales rep. So I ended up doing all of the sales myself, and I didn't really have a full calendar, at all. Like I said, our main bottleneck was simply not having enough leads, not having enough appointments. Just strictly top of funnel was the only bottleneck, not enough stuff coming in. So I did all of our sales, and then I was totally hands off production for the most part, unless I was bored and wanted to come out and or the guys needed an airdrop for some materials or something like that. So we had Dylan right here as our production manager / lead technician. And what was also really cool and really interesting is we ran one crew the entire season. Now, going into this, I conservatively wanted 3 crews. $5,000 a day per crew, $15,000 for 3 crews a day, right? At least the capacity to do so. And our crew, our main crew, on our best days, we ran a crew of 4, and their best day, they were able to produce, I think, like $16,500 in like 8 hours, maybe 17. And that was without working like a 12-hour day, like 7 to 10, anything like that. Like it was like a regular work day. That's what they were able to produce. When essentially everything was like, operationally, everything went smoothly. The route was optimized. There weren't any like material hiccups or anything like that. So that kind of like broke a limiting belief for me, and I think the crew was like, hey, like we can sell a lot and not be bottlenecked by fulfillment at all, which was kind of a theme of the entire like season, was that production was just constantly outpacing sales, just constantly. Like at parts of the season, we were booked out like a day or two, and like towards the end of the season, things would come in, and I would just schedule it for either same day or next day. Like that's how quickly and like efficient we got with production. So like we brought on, let's get rid of this. So this was so we had Dylan here. I'm just gonna fill out names to make this easier. We had Jackson, who was our other full-time guy, and the rest of these guys worked like 3-4 days a week. So we had Ethan, Evan, I want this to go there. There we go. Perfect. We had, well, oh, it's an arrow. That's whatever. And then we had Preston, and we had, sounds bad, but we had like 2 or 3 other guys. I don't even know their names. 2 to 3 other part-time installers. Like I said, I didn't really handle installation. That was Dylan's kind of role. He was sort of just everything production. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I think that there might have been, yeah. So that sounds right. So it was, me, office manager, Dylan as sort of production manager handling fulfillment, and then a bunch of other installers, and that was sort of the entire operation. Like I said, fulfillment was locked. Perfect. Really, the only, and it got kind of, there was definitely some communication that could have been worked on, between clients, between me and team members, some process that could have been refined. But overall, that side, like I said, was pretty much dialed. Now, in terms of marketing and acquisition, let's see. I think you guys will get a lot of value out of that. So we spent a total of $39,165 on marketing / like acquisition related costs. And that is on total revenue. Let me get my calculator out. 39 divided by 294. Nope, that's wrong. 294 divided by 39 is going to be a 7.54x on marketing, or I think it was like 15% or something like that. So 39 divided by 294, or 13.2%, or 13.2% of revenue. Now on new, this includes reinstalls. I think we had about $85,000 for reinstalls, which was the other huge thing this season that I was totally unexpecting, is our churn was absolutely big. Like I said, we had about $85,000 in recurring work from $165,000 last year, which I was like baffled by. I was like, where did we go wrong here? This is absolutely this is terrible. This is unacceptable. And I, to be totally honest, I don't have a great answer for you as to why. There was nothing like installation wise. 95% of everything last year went pretty flawlessly. You know, we had a couple hiccups with callbacks, a couple clients, unhappy that we made right with them. But most of the people that did not come back last year were strictly cost related. Like they were like straight up, I cannot afford it. I can't afford it. Too expensive. We went with a cheaper company, something along those lines, which after speaking to some other installers who have significantly higher retention, 65, 70, some people even 85, 90%, which I'm like, you can like the service can't be that much better. Like fulfillment and like customer service and all that cannot be that much better. Like we're not dropping the ball that hard to have that big of a difference, that big of a gap, at least from my perspective. Could be cope, but from my knowledge, like it's pretty simple. The lights are up, they work. We have good customer service, good communication and whatnot. But most of our clients, like I would wager an overwhelming 70 to 80% are middle class people that maybe shouldn't be spending $2,000 to $3,000 on Christmas lights, but are. Also something to note, our average ticket is significantly higher than a lot of the people in our area. Pretty close to double. Ours this year was about 2,500. I think actually closer to 2,600. And all the other installers are between like 1,000 and 1,400, maybe 1,500. So our average ticket's significantly higher. So people are spending a lot more with us. But the number of like wealthy clientele that we serve is relatively low because of our market. Like there aren't that many rich people there. There's very few rich people. Most people are like middle, maybe upper middle class. And that's you can see that in the churn. You could definitely see that. Which I will have a direct case study next year after we finish next season on the difference between like the actual difference. Like we're gonna run the exact same playbook in one market and another. One is gonna be one of the wealthiest markets in the country, and one is gonna be where we are now. So I will have a direct case study on the actual difference and all of the numbers, which I am really interested to learn about and actually see firsthand. Because you get anecdotally from people who are on different markets and run different playbooks and run different systems and have different skill sets. But I'm excited to see firsthand like what the actual difference is. So we spent just under 40 grand on marketing, which is a lot. I went into the season knowing I was going to spend a lot on marketing. And with that, like, I mean, I don't think anyone in our market was even relatively close to spending $40,000 on marketing, which you could view that as an inefficiency, but I view that as we mogged almost everybody, except the one company that has been around for like 30 years. And it's sort of a legacy business, which I don't even know their numbers. They also do very, very bad work from the dozens and dozens of clients that have converted over to us because they're so bad. But we were very aggressive with marketing and very aggressive with spend for that reason, because I wanted to just gobble up market share. All right, so we spent, I have the breakdown. There was one that I am really annoyed that I kind of didn't even realize how much we spent on, because it just didn't have a return. I think we broke even or lost money on it, but we spent just under $20,000 on Facebook ads, which is where the bulk of our acquisition came from. I want this to be smaller. I don't know how I can do that. We spent these are going to be approximate. I have exact numbers on some of this. We spent approximately $4,000 on yard signs, without labor included, like to actually put them out, which was maybe another like $1,000. I'm going to move this over here. We spent, this was the kicker. We spent $9,000 on, what's it called? On dope marketing, direct mail automation, which gave us maybe like 3 or 4 jobs, maybe. So we broke it. Like this was break even, plus minus. With lifetime value, we're gonna make money. Maybe if our gross margin is 70%, let's see. Let's say we broke even this year. If our gross margin is 70% over 3 years, and if our churn stays at 65%, like it was last year, if it was 50, if it stays at 55%, like that's kind of cooked. But yeah, we would be in slight profit with that. So I wasn't super thrilled with that. Which is another testament, I think, to market a little bit. Again, it could be Cope. But we use very similar postcards to other companies that I know in other markets with the exact same automation, who had like between like 5 and 10x returns, which super interesting. So this did not do very well at all. again, curious to see how it does in a different section of the United States. But let's see. Okay. Then we spent I could check the numbers, but I forgot. $5,000 to $6,000 on Google Ads. And then what are we at? 20, that's like 30. Yeah, so this is where pretty much all our marketing spend went. I don't know why it looks so weird. Can I move this? Fire. Oh, okay. That's gonna bother me. I don't know how to fix it though. So all right, that's fine. I will get all of the exact numbers on all of this. But so we had a 294,000 minus 85,000 is approximately $210,000 in new revenue. I'd say about 75% of that came from Facebook ads. Maybe less. Maybe it's closer to like 60-70%. I stopped tracking about halfway through the season. Once I had like initial numbers. Yard signs return has gone down every year. Year one, these had a 39x return. Last year they had a like 13 or 14x return, and this year I think it was like 4 or 5x. And it's got to be more, maybe like 5 to 6. Most of that came from one big commercial shop that we got, a $13,000 commercial gig, that paid for all the yard signs, 3x over. But like without that, they wouldn't have, like, every year as this business gets more and more popular, the lowest barrier to entry kind of forms of acquisition are going to get more and more crowded, more and more flooded. I have so many pictures that are I find pretty humorous of like 5 Christmas light installation signs on one corner. You don't win with that. Like, you just don't. And I know for a fact that we mugged everybody in terms of volume of yard signs. Because I know everybody in our market. And they put out, I think at max like 400 or 500, and we put out I think like 16 or 1700 yard signs. We had the leftover stock from last year too. So like, I know we did a lot of volume with yard signs. And not a lot of revenue. My first year we put out like 250, 300 yard signs and did like 50K off just that. This year we put out 16 to 1700, and I think did less revenue from yard signs. Because when you have 5 yard signs on a corner, there's no way to differentiate. Like, they're going to call first of all, they're going to call every number, or like the one that they like the best. And then if you don't answer the phone immediately, which we do, we have an office manager, but if it's after hours, then that's something that I did not set up, which I should have, some like an AI, like after hours answering service. You're immediately discarded. Like, the first person that answers the phone with the yard sign wins. And then most of the time, not all of the time, but most of the time, people that call from yard signs are pretty low quality and are going to be looking for the cheapest price and just comparing bids from like 3 yard signs that they call. Yard signs have become like a bit of a losing game. Maybe a lot. Like, the meta is Google and Facebook. So this is what our sort of like acquisition spread looks like. Oh, and then I was going to say, 13.2%. And then if you look at that in terms of like new revenue, it's a little bit more disappointing. 209 divided by 39 becomes, like 5.35x. Which it is on the front end too. Like, it's not lifetime value. If you look at that from lifetime value, it's like a off gross margin. I don't want to do the math, but it's at least 10x. 15, times 0.7. Fine, I'll just do it real quick. 15, 0.7. Yeah, it's like 11x, on LTV, gross LTV, right? So gross profit, lifetime value, which is good. Not great, but I think definitely has room for improvement. But again, we're at scale. Right? We're not at like $50,000 of net revenue anymore. So like, obviously things are going to diminish as we continue to spend more. So that's fine. What else went well and not well? Except production went really well. Sales infrastructure could have been a little bit better. Oh, this is the other thing I wanted to touch on. And then I'll start to wrap up a little bit because I've been yapping for 20 minutes. We totally changed our funnel this year. Last year we just did lead forms, and this year we ran a quiz funnel that directly booked appointments onto my calendar. It wasn't a problem. What I thought was going to be the biggest problem was going to be location and like running to one side of the town to another side of the town, because people just booked a slot, and there was absolutely no like efficiency routing in terms of what times people booked, right? That ended up not being a problem just because of how people spaced out appointments. And need be, I would do something virtually. But we ran a quiz funnel that booked appointments directly on my calendar, which totally solved last year's bottleneck of having too much volume, too much low quality volume. So we added a lot more social proof, a lot more framing, testimonials, that sort of thing, onto this quiz funnel, got people more emotionally invested into the process, and then book a calendar, like I said, directly, or book an appointment directly on my calendar. All I had to do was show up. Rather than someone submits a lead form, we have to get in touch with them, we have to find a time that works, blah, blah, blah. So there's a lot more, labor involved in that. They just booked something on my calendar, and we had automation, and bang, done. I just show up, close the deal. Automatically qualified. If they were under $1,000, it was virtually, the budget. If it was over $1,000, in-person appointment. The one thing that we needed to do, which I didn't do, was call in addition to that to confirm and be like, hey, just so you know, most clients spend between $1,000 and $5,000, minimum is $800. We're good on that, right? Because there were a surprising amount of people who checked that they were aware of that and marked their budget, as above that. And then I would show up and they'd be like, oh man, I thought this was going to be $400. So there was a good amount of that. So that's something where we could have made improvement. But I'm never touching lead forms again. I'm only doing landers. I'm only doing maybe not just quiz funnels, but I'm only touching landers from service from now on. So that was a big unlock. And that was pretty much for everything. We had a full go high level automation with AI. So anyone that came in through our website, anyone that came in through Facebook Messenger, that was all pre-qualified through text, through an AI agent. That was also automatically booked onto my calendar. And then anyone that called inbound, called my office manager, who also booked appointments directly onto my calendar. So I was completely removed from pretty much everything pre-appointment. I show up to the appointment, close, and then we have some follow-up automation to push deals over the line. So that was a huge unlock, like I said. And that was really it. Next year, like I said, we're opening a new location. The goal next year is going to be actually to do over $500,000, ideally $600,000 in temporary work. And then we're starting permanent LEDs, which I'm going to be probably documenting the entire process A to Z on us scaling to 7 figures with that. And that should be fun. But this was a fun season. I can't lie. It was a little bit disappointing, but it was a lot of fun and I enjoyed it. And I think the team enjoyed it. I think there's a lot of growth, a lot of lessons that hopefully I passed on to you guys a little bit. I'm going to see if there was anything else in here that needs to go right now. I think that's good. We'll save everything for another video. I hope you guys enjoyed. Peace.